Well, it's a beautiful Thursday morning right here in the city of Lagos where we are broadcasting from. And we definitely want to say good morning and welcome. It is VOP this morning, and I am David Edwin. It's a beautiful Thursday morning, like I said earlier. And today we'll be looking at very interesting conversations this morning. One of which would be the fact that police is restricting movement from 3 a.m. to 3 p.m. as Lagos gears up for the local government elections here in Lagos.
Also on our radar today, Ganduje gets a new appointment after resigning as APC national chairman. I am Fina Okechukwu.
ADC accuses Tinubu's government of plotting crackdown on opposition. Well, this conversation has been ongoing for some time now, but we're still dwelling on it this morning, and those are the conversations on our table this morning. Do well to follow us across social media, be part of the conversation, be part of the family. On YouTube, we are Voice of the People TV. Across all the social media platforms, it's VOP TV Live. Now let's get into some of the conversations Nigerians are having. I am Moses Humphrey. Now the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has called on the National Assembly to make a law criminalizing unexplained wealth and fortune in the country. The chairman of the commission, Ola Olukoyede, made the call on Wednesday while speaking at the National Conference on Public Accounts and Fiscal Governance, organized by the Public Accounts Committees of the Senate and House of Representatives in Abuja. He recounted how investigations into public officers often stall because the law still requires a predicate offense, a specific crime such as theft or fraud, before assets can be seized or charges filed. Now, he also explained that the proposed law would make it a strict liability offense for any individual to possess assets grossly beyond their known and legal income sources. Well, this is long overdue, but the bottom line is, will it see the light of day? I don't think so. How you are, expected to make a living, you'll be called in for questioning. In fact, your account will be frozen without recourse to having you explain the source of your wealth. That's how it's done in other climes. And all of this is to fight corruption. But what do we have in Nigeria? Nigeria is such that it's a haven. It's a haven for corruption.
That's safe to it.
Pardon?
It's a safe haven.
It's easy for corruption to bud on the soils of Nigeria because these things are easy to do. Somebody can wake up. In fact, if we have a political office holder once said that you can wake up one morning and I don't want to use his exact words, but basically what he's trying to say is you can be a poor man today and tomorrow you wake up and boom, a big boy. And it's not miracle. It's not the hand of God upon you. It is the fact that you have, exchanged, you've had handshake with some people and you've been given some monies to help clean or something. So corruption thrives in Nigeria because the burden to prove is on the EFCC, is on the enforcement agencies, not on the individuals. Civil servants, politicians, and the rest don't even declare they don't declare their assets. Sometimes they under-declare, but we know that they own a whole lot more than they declare. So the system here just doesn't work. Now, like I said, this is long overdue. I think the chairman of EFCC, Mr. Olukoyede, has good intentions. He has good intentions. Remember when he went after the governor of Kogi State? He was spitting fire. We will arrest, we will prosecute. But where is that today? Yaya Bello is applying to get his passport back so he could travel out for medical, treatment. And he's, so it's difficult with the kind of laws we have. It's difficult. Another thing is, will the politicians whose wealth are largely unexplained, will they allow this one to see the light of day? But no, I don't think so. I don't think so. But anyway, we'll just see how this just seems like something that will pass. It feels like now one of those the kind of people that make money in other crimes, that make money and they can explain it away are entertainers. Because sometimes it's difficult to figure out how much was made from an event, how many people bought tickets and how many sponsors paid what amount of money. So it's difficult to do that in some crimes. But here in Nigeria, a 17-year-old, and we celebrate these things. That's the most annoying part.
So sad.
We celebrate it. You leave, you travel from your village to Lagos. You're not doing business. You don't have a particular job.
Yeah.
You're not educated.
Well,
even if they are,
education
even
is
if they
here or there. There's street education.
Of course.
And then you suddenly go back home in big cars.
In 6 months or 3 months.
3 months. And they start to celebrate you like, hey, oh, mama, my child is back. So we should do better. But I don't see this seeing the light of day, like I said earlier.
Oh, well, as it stands, really, you've torn it apart, you've extracted it largely, and I think this cannot be overemphasized about the fact that Nigeria, a country that has not done well when it comes to data, is going to be talking to these kind of laws. That goes to say that a lot of persons want to do the work, but the systemic failure that have bedeviled us as a nation might just not let this work. I mean, Moses rightly pointed about the fact that Yaya Bello is one example that a lot of persons will say, okay, if he's now facing the law as it stands, rather asking for his passports to be returned back to him so he can travel for medical attention, then that goes to say that the selection of prosecution or persons, prosecuting persons and all, cannot be overemphasized in this our political landscape. But then, given the historical context of corruption in Nigeria, the question that goes to mind would be how effective would this law actually reduce the unexplained wealth of some individuals? Because here's the fact that is clear. When it comes to taxes, not everybody in Nigeria pays tax. That's a given. Then the part of the political elites being found guilty in these kind of conversation, would they be prosecuted? I mean, it goes to bear the fact that Nigeria needs to do better when it comes to not only these kind of laws, but data. And to think that the EFCC chair is the one coming to say this, one would only say, we hope, yes, hope, that this will see the light of the day.
The part I want to talk about is where the EFCC was talking about the fact that some persons, or rather some nations also are kind of, contributing also to these people who amass this wealth illegally and push it out of the country for it to be secured there. And these people are not willing or helping out in bringing back these funds, or even in alerting them in taking back or confiscating the property that they believe or perceived were being acquired, in an illegal manner. He made mention of how a Nigerian is an owner of an estate in Ireland. And the question I asked, who is that Nigerian? I think it's high time we come up with this new policy of calling names. Yes, we need to find a way to call names. If you're certain that someone actually got or acquired some properties out of this nation illegally, I think the best thing to do is to come up to say, so person actually did this. Because I could recall when Ganduje came up with a mortar blending plant. To today, we're yet to know the owners of this mortar blending plant. And we knew from what we were being told that they set up the plants illegally. Nigerians' money, for crying out loud. Nigerians' money. And then he talked about someone also who worked in the ministry for like 20 years, and a person, when they calculated the person's entire salary and allowances, they were able to understand that this person could not even, but the person were able to buy 2 houses, 2 properties in Maitama, and 3 in Asokoro. These are highbrow areas in Abuja. And and they were told that, you know, they should go and get approval and everything for the predicated offense before they can act on such. Taking this to the National Assembly to say, help us pass this bill, like Moses pointed out, I see it to be dead on arrival. Because they say he who must go to equity must come with clean hands. The people that you're going to say, help us pass this bill, are they going to do that knowing fully well that some of them actually have been fingered in one way or the other to, you know, having their wealth and not being explained properly? Some actually, their wealth have been tied to public funding that they mismanaged. Some also will see some of them still leaving the euphoria of the fact that they milk or suck Nigerians dry in one way or another, either by the positions that they've occupied before now or where they are today. And most of them actually are still verbal. I could recall when people were talking about how lands are being grabbed and being reallocated to personal individuals or cronies or allies belonging to a particular man in Nigeria. And the only thing the person could say is to come up to say, I have the right. You know, people that have these lands have the right to own lands. My children have the right to own lands, and you check them. What actually these children that we're talking about? What was their source of revenue generation? What was the source of income? How were they able to acquire such amount of get such a amount of land? From to use that word, such hectares or acres of land, and we know some of them are still students. So how then were they able to get this? We don't know that they are doing any business, for crying out loud, but I wish you luck. I believe that he is doing what he's supposed to do as a man manning the affairs of Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. I wish him well, actually, in this. But yesterday also he spoke about a certain group of people whom he believed that if Nigerian government is to give him the support, he'll be able to bring them to their knees. You know, people who are indulging in fraud, in Yahoo and all that, and so many other things. So I wish you well anyway. And I pray that the National Assembly can go beyond what Nigerians expect, which is that they are not going to pass this law into passing it, so that we'll actually see Nigeria moving towards to be a better, or becoming a better nation. Away from that story, still with ill-gotten wealth and all that, the Senate has mandated a joint committee to investigate the alarming rise of Ponzi schemes across the country, following the collapse of the crypto billion exchange, the CBEX, which has reportedly defrauded investors of over 1.3 trillion naira. The decision followed a motion sponsored by Senator Adetokunbo Abiru of Lagos East, in a motion where the lawmaker expressed deep concern over the unchecked spread of fraudulent investment schemes, including the infamous Nigeria that happened in 2016 and the MBA Forex of 2020, and most recently we're having the CBEX, which lured millions of Nigerians with promises of higher returns on digital assets. Lawmakers in a debate warned that CBEX collapse had devastating financial and psychological consequences, pushing victims into depression, family breakdowns, and in some cases, a tragic one like suicide and all that. The Senate expressed shock that CBEX operated unchecked for months, despite its large-scale activities and online visibility. It's not just the Senate that actually expresses shock. I do. With no timely intervention from regulatory agencies such as the Security and Exchange Commission, the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit, or even the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. The time that this particular news broke, that was in Oyo State, where we learned they had a physical office. I'm talking about the CBEX office now. We were told that the SEC were not even aware of it. The Security and Exchange Commission, they were not aware of it. And they come up to tell Nigerians that they should be careful about how they go on investing in things that SEC did not approve. Now, the question I could recall I asked that day was, how then was it possible that these particular Ponzi schemes or these operators were able to flourish in Nigeria for months? When we have the Security and Exchange Commission, we have the Central Bank of Nigeria also. These are people who are the organizations or agencies that we know that have been saddled with responsibilities of making sure that financial activities in Nigeria are being monitored. We also have the intelligence unit, that's the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit also, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. These are the agencies that the nation have saddled with the responsibility of making sure that they check the financial activities that happen within Nigeria as a nation. And they come up, Security Exchange Commission come up to say that they are not aware of CBEX and its operation. They were actually blaming Nigerians for putting in their money into a scheme that was not confirmed by them. Then these people actually operated freely in Nigeria and were able to, take out the funds. Before we learned from the czar of the EFCC that that they are going to make sure that they fish out the people who carried out that good thing, actually were able to get to them. But 1.3 trillion naira is what Nigerians lost during this particular period. People have died. Homes have been wrecked also. People's hope are being dashed. People have committed suicide. And, then are we going to compensate for the lives of these people? Or even if the money is being retrieved at the end of the day, who are we going to give the monies to? I think Nigeria, as a great nation, we should work on data. We should also be up and doing in terms of monitoring the activities that plays out in Nigeria, especially now that we know that the world is tilting towards, a more sophisticated technological platforms for businesses actually to flourish. Ponzi scheme is a bad thing. That you want to make money does not mean you're going to leverage on another person's weakness for you to make your money. It's another way of committing crime, murder, organ harvesting, and every other thing. The same way I liken the issue of people that peddle drugs. I'm talking about people that sell substandard drugs now to organ harvesters. Those are heinous crime. Is also how I'm putting up the people who operate Ponzi schemes, the Yahoo Plus boys, and every other thing actually to this particular one.
Well, let's one of this conversation really that comes, every time that I hear this kind of Ponzi scheme is the fact that I think Nigerians should be more aware. Sometimes these things can be luring. The economic situation of the country would want to lead you to want to invest in this kind of scheme. But the most important part of this is we should be more awoke to the truth about this. If you don't even know anything, ask questions. I mean, if you ask questions, you're not going to lose, But what comes to mind in question is what measures can be implemented, really, to enhance financial literacy amongst Nigerians, to help them better discern and, of course, know better between legitimate investment and these Ponzi schemes. Because, look, over 1 trillion naira is not a joke. That's like the country's budget some years back. Now, this is what people accumulate in their loss, accumulated loss. I mean, we should do better when it comes to wanting to, know the truth about this investment and carefully asking the right questions. I'm talking to Nigerians now, not just, the Senate and, of course, the government themselves. We should carefully do these things and, of course, do better with these information. Really, that's my position here this morning. Well, because of time, let's get to another conversation. The Federal Capital Territory Administration, that's the FCTA, under the FCT, Minister Nyesom Wike has said it has commenced a major security and environmental operations aimed at ridding Abuja and its satellite towns of street beggars. The FCTA said the others in the categories are traders operating illegally, scavengers, one-chance syndicates, and other social nuisances. The initiative, code named Operation Sweep Abuja, was ordered by Wike in line with the Abuja Environmental Protection Act and other relevant laws. In a statement issued on Wednesday, the minister's senior special assistant on public communications and social media, Larry Olayinka, said the operations would involve a joint task force made up of security agencies and relevant FCTA departments. He explained that those apprehended during the operations will be profiled and handed over to their home state government. Well, this again goes to say the level of economic difficulties that Nigerians have found themselves. I mean, socio-economic factors can be attributed to why people beg. So I'm not exonerating having these beggars on the streets. No. If there are places they can stay where the government is going to help them with relief materials, it's fine. But profiling, okay, So when you profile someone, what comes to mind is what data are we going to be using to profile these people?
No, profiling is just asking
Ask them
questions.
questions.
When you
Where
ask
they're
questions and this person lies to you about a particular place, what would you do?
There are certain things you can. There are. You wonder why customs sometimes are able to tell Nigerians from Cameroonians and Ghanaians.
Right.
There are certain things, certain facial, contours.
You did for face.
Yes.
Ah.
Yes. There are certain things that you can look at to be able to tell where a person is from,
It's
even
from.
within Nigeria.
Aside the tribal marks.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
There are certain things.
All right. Well, again, the concern just would be that as it stands, yes, if there's going to be a major crackdown on one chance syndicate, fantastic. I mean, that is long overdue. So we should get into these conversations and start doing it about now, not just on the FCT, across Nigeria as a whole. That would really help, secure lives and properties, which of course is the first assignment of the leadership of this country. So that's my position on this one.
When I saw this story, the first thing that came to my mind was a novel that I ran into. I read that particular book. It was written by Aminata Sofo. That was her second novel. She's a lady from Senegal,
Right.
in Dakar. She wrote a novel, Beggar Strike. And that particular novel actually was what one minister did, Minister of, I think, Hygiene and Environment and all that. He did that to rid the city, take out all the beggars from the street. And boom, during the election time, they were needed. He had to go out, no beggars again to help and all that. Now bring it back to Nigeria. One thing actually I want to ask is, the FCT workers, I'm talking about the primary school teachers, the hospital, the primary health care hospital staffs and all that were on strike before now, or they were protesting non-payment of the minimum wage and even the wage award and every other thing. Are they back now are they back to work, or are they working at students or children or pupils from who are schooling within FCT back again? Because now, one thing is to wake up to say we are doing this. Another thing is not tackling the root of the problem. People who have worked are hungry. Some of them have not been paid. Some are protesting, not receiving the minimum wage, the wage award that we know that some states that are serious have actually paid. And this happened within our federal capital territory. And the minister is not interested in such story. He's not looking into it. He doesn't even care about what is happening. And if you check some of these people who are on the street begging, there might be children who couldn't go to school. And the person will be like, I don't have anything to give to you. I also, as a worker, have not received my salary and had to fall back to begging for them to be able to eat something at home. And then you're saying you want to profile them to take them back to where? Nigeria is a nation we know that been bedeviled by insecurity. We have people who leave their villages to come over to a place that they believe is safe for them actually to be able to leave. And you want to send them back to that place? I'm against the scavengers and also the one child syndicate. But if you check it out also, for example, I was in Abuja for so long. Now I have to tell you this. If you're going towards, maybe you want to leave the town to the airport and you don't have a ride, and you don't want to book a boat or maybe any of this e-hail driving, whatever, you find out that you can't even get to the airport to yourself because there's no direct vehicle that will take you there. So I think FCT ministers should look into all the things that are causing this begging and all these other things before talking about profiling and sending them out of FCT.
Well, it's not peculiar to the FCT. This has been done across the nation. Lagos has done it, or Oyo has done it.
At some point, Port Harcourt as well.
Different states have done it. It's not peculiar to the FCT. I hear there is a court case. They've sued for damages. I think to the tune of 500 million. Oh well, it's like my colleagues have rightly said. And let me just add, with the limited time that we have, there is this move. Now, a lot of it has been done under the do I say guise or pretext or the umbrella of urban renewal, security challenges. So a lot of these have been done where people are taken, arrested, and deported, within the country, deported to their states. Now, it negates the constitution that speaks to freedom of movement, your liberty to reside anywhere. Now, I think what government should do, rather than just deport. I know sometimes this could be a security concern, all right? But what I think should be done is there should be some sort of facility, all right, and it should be built in every state. A facility where they can reside and then they can be trained on having a vocation. So they are being trained and then they reside. They have rooms. They have like a hall, like a dormitory where they can stay. That way, they won't be loitering, all right? And also, they will add to the economy of the country because they have handiwork. They have something to do. So they can go out, offer services, come back, that's after being trained, come back, have a place to put their head, and they'll be useful, and everybody will be fine. All right. Oh, well, let's quickly go to the papers now. We have, without wasting time, actually, we have newspapers. It's newspaper headlines. And from the Nigerian Tribune, these are the headlines here. Buhari's popularity won 12.5 million votes for APC in 2015. Ex-SGF Mustafa says ACN, CPC, other major parties brought 3 million votes. Buhari administration stood on pillars of integrity. Tinubu. And then the window headlines. Ponzi schemes. Senate faults weak regulatory roles by CBN, SEC. Others probes loss of 1.3 trillion naira in CBEX crash. Court slams €1 million damages against Union Bank over breach negligence. Awards 50 million naira damages in favor of Nikon Investment Limited. Union Bank heads to appeal court. And more headlines here. UAE imposes fresh visa conditions on Nigerians. Bans transit visa. 2027. ADC raises the alarm. Alleges plot to clamp down on opposition leaders. Ex-APC National Chairman Ganduje appointed fan board chairman. 3 police officers, 2 soldiers die as security forces kill 30 bandits in Katsina. Suspected bandits kill 13 in Niger community. Nigeria's oil rig counts hits 46. NUPRC. Or your government procures 2 aircrafts to improve security. Interested. ICPC recovers 21 billion naira from salary fraud in one investigation. False revenue declared by NNPCL. And Fayemi Oyebanji won't leave our party for ADC. APC. Now, these are the headlines on the cover page of Nigerian Tribune.
Vanguard is up next, and the window headline reads, FG secures for $747 million loan for Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway. FG targeting food sufficiency through PPP, Information Minister. No one single-handedly made Buhari president in 2015, says ex-SGF boss Mustafa. Vanguard newspaper is what I'm looking at. Construction of Eastern Rail Line corridor begins. And the banner headline, 2027, don't underestimate Tinubu. Ribadu warns opposition. Read as to that, ADC slams presidency over alleged plot to overthrow Tinubu, says it is ploy to repress opposition. Governors, APC leaders are secretly supporting coalition. Babacha ex-SGF. LP can't win election. We will contest on ADC tickets. King Igbe, don't write us off yet. That's coming from PDP, says it is not losing ground to ADC. And then other headlines, governors renew push to delist labor from exclusive list. Lagos LG polls, police restrict vehicular movement for 12 hours on Saturday. Another bold headline, immigration. Nigerians face a growing visa hurdles in UK, US, Canada, UAE, others. Senate probes sponsor schemes in Nigeria. FIRS has made significant progress. That's coming from International Monetary Fund. And the last but not the least of the headlines on the cover page of Vanguard newspaper today reads, 2 fear dead as gunmen attack Anambra community.
All right, those are the headlines from the newspapers. We'll get deeper at 10 o'clock during newspaper review. Now, let's look at one of the conversations on our table this morning. Police restrict movement from 3 a.m. to 3 p.m. Basically talking about local government and LCDA elections in Lagos this Saturday. Let's talk about this. We'll be back. Join us again.
encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOP TV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television.
Is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being of an individual. It's the fundamental right of everyone to enjoy the highest attainable standard of health, without distinction of race, religion, or political belief. On VOP TV, we bring you Health Check, a show that x-rays different health issues and provides solutions with the help of experts in the medical field. Join us every Saturday, 2 p.m. on Health Check. Health Check on VOP TV. Your health, our priority. Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Well, start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered.
VOP This Morning, 8 a.m., Monday through Friday. Are you ready for the extraordinary? Something big is happening on your screen. Introducing VOP TV. Now streaming on SLTV channel 264. From breaking news to captivating conversations, news analysis, giving you all sides to the story. We break in-depth discussions on the issues that matter, from politics to sports, entertainment, and lifestyle. VOP TV on SLTV channel 264. Join us as we redefine what television means to you. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
Well, glad to have you back. It is still VOP this morning. Now let's get to the conversation proper. The Lagos State Government Commissioner of Police, Oluhudare Jimoh, has announced a 12-hour restriction of movement on Saturday across the state for the local government elections. He also ordered a massive deployment of personnel across the state. He said the deployment was to ensure a hitch-free exercise as the Lagos State Independent Electoral Commission, LASEC, gears up to conduct these exercises. Many Lagosians are saying they would not come out to vote on July the 12th, reminiscent on the violence witnessed during the 2023 elections. 18 in 20 local Lagosians, opted to stay home on the local government election day to avoid being disenfranchised by thugs. Well, these are accusations that are quite a huge one. But we have with us in the studio this beautiful morning, Mr. Gani Oluwashola, who is a managing partner, KJB Professional Service, and also Mr. Ezike Nweze Jesus O, who is the MD Meditech Technologies Nigeria Limited. He is also a philosophy PhD in view as well. Well, we have, of course, other guests joining us from our Port Harcourt studios, Chief Emmanuel, and of course, from Abuja studios as well. We'll get to that when these men arrive. let's start off this conversation. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Ganduje. Interestingly, the election is going to be this Saturday. From your perspective and the environment and the people around you, what can you say is the body language of Lagosians right now as concerning this election? Is there confidence going into this election, or generally, what's your overview as well?
Oh, thank you. That's a good question. If you look at, we check through precedents and see how election has been in Lagos, right? You could see that there will always be rancor, there will be a kind of rioting, and also there will be a kind of chaos here and there, right? And people are of the opinion that already before the election come, you already have the result, because you know who will become the local government chairman, the local government, those that will win the election. Yeah, what the government is doing, it's not out of normal, right? It's not misnormal, because one of the reasons why we have governance is the security and welfare of the citizen, and to ensure that some miscreant does not take laws into their hands. And because of that, the need for the curfew, right, and to restrict movement, because do not forget also we have Lagos as the center place of where we have hoodlums and people that could cause a lot of mayhap. So with that, it was able to, one of the bedrock there was to prevent electoral malpractices, to ensure people vote without any kind of fear or favor, to ensure that there's no intimidation. But the question is that when we get to the poll, will there be no intimidation, right? Will there be any issue of snatching of boxes, or will the other party be given the same level playing ground with the ruling party to ensure that everybody be able to go for the election and be able to get their ticket very well? So I think it's a good one, right? Taking for security of people and to ensure that people are not treated anyhow. But the question is that what is the volume of the people that will come to vote, right? Will they automatically disenfranchise themselves, knowing fully that in the long run we know who will come to power? Okay,
so I'm still going to stay with you on this conversation. You did talk about disenfranchisement of the people as concerning the elections, but there are also concerns about INEC. From what you've seen so far in other elections and of course other by-elections, do you think INEC is ready for this election, particularly on the fact that Nigerians feel disheartened from the last election and how it went, particularly on the part of beavers, transmitting of results at the time and all of that? That level of distrust between Nigerians and INEC, and of course to think that this is a state where in the last general elections, the ruling party lost the presidential seat to the Labour Party. Would these conversations be feasible going into the next election?
Do not forget that when it gets to local government election, it's owned by the state,
right?
The resident electoral commission. So
still under INEC.
Yeah, but the person in charge is the state. Remember what happened in Rivers when it's been owned by Fubara, and the long run, when PDP was not ready, he formed his own political party indirectly, and they cliched I remember now when they were trying to inaugurate and get another election for the state, they took the resident from Calabar, from Cross River, and there was a lot in the news that said, why will you bring somebody outside Rivers State to come and supervise election in Rivers, when you know that we always use our person, right? Because the person must know the terrain. So since it's owned by the state takes charge of it, the federal government does not interfere. So, and do not forget that either pay pays the pipers, it takes the tune, right? And so since, and also, it's also on record, right, that the reason being that to give the governor the autonomy to be able to get those people he wants to, because these are his foot soldiers, right, that will work for him and work with him. So with that, he's able to glitch it. So at that point in time, you will see that it does not even have any nexus with the central one, because the governor in Lagos is fully in charge of it.
All right then. Sorry. Okay, so let me bring this to Mr. AZK.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, you work within the tech space, I do believe.
All right.
Okay. Now, with the usage of beavers and the failure that we saw in other elections, what do you expect differently in the local government elections?
Well, thank you. I'm not expecting much credibility, because the beavers itself did not actually fail Nigerian people, but INEC itself. Okay, so it's not an issue of a failed technology, but an issue of a failed system.
All right. So, but with the some would say beavers itself is not a problem, but it is the usage of it and the fact that results were not transmitted, from the beavers to the IREV and were not followed through. All right. What technology would you advise Nigerians to use, especially as we walk towards, elections in 2027? Because all the local government elections are like a litmus test for INEC and the CX and the rest of them. What should we adopt a different kind of technology? From your experience, which do you think will serve Nigerians better?
The beavers would have worked perfectly well, but then, like I said, it's a system, is a result of a failed system. So it's not an issue of which technology to use. It's an issue of how effective will INEC implement, follow the ruling. Okay, because the last election they promised us that this thing is going to work. They made us believe that this is the best of the best technology for elections. But at the end of the day, what happened? They dished it.
All right, now, Dr. Gani, when we were talking earlier, I pointed out to what happened in River State, where the then suspended governor conducted a local government election. That particular election was conducted without the presence of any security personnel. And according to what we got, the report from that state, it shows that the election went smooth, free and fair. But bringing it back again to Lagos State, where we've been told that there will be restriction of movement, 12 hours now at this point in time, and massive deployment of security personnel. How then do you juxtapose this to the fact that in election or during election period, we have issues, even with the police or with the security personnel being there, the civil defense, the police and all that. We still see snatching of ballot box, we still see people being threatened not to cast their votes, we still see people being, coming out to cast their vote with one eye on, blood-dyed cloth and all that. But when they conducted an election without the police or the security personnel in River State, we do not hear any stories regarding to such. How do we think we still need the presence of security personnel going forward while we're doing our own elections?
That's a beautiful question. And when you look at, let me digress a bit to what happened in Rivers. Despite the free and fair election in Rivers, the local government election was upturned. It's just like what happened to MKO Abiola. It's one of the most free and fair election in records in Nigeria. But it was turned and right. So it was saying that it wasn't free and fair because it doesn't go our own way. We need to put our own people there. Right. So now coming back to Lagos, Lagos itself, it's known for this kind of rioting, this kind of snatching of boxes, hooliganism, right, and breaking and fire beating on people. So the question also is that who will the policeman be working for, right? Will there be fairness? Will there be equity? Will there be justice, right? Will they allow other political parties to be able to function effectively, right, without any form of intimidation? You remember one of the highlights that was there is that to avoid intimidation, to allow people to carry out to be able to carry out their franchise, to be able to do their voting in a way that there will not be any issue. But the question is that we are going to, some people are even saying they're not going out tomorrow because they know how it comes out. And we also have it on record. This guy then, is he Oluomo that came, and I was saying that this is us. Is it that this party or no party? And the guy went free. Nobody hold him responsible for it because he seen as if that what he did is right. So the question is that one of the reasons why they're bringing the police, will it mirror the outcome of the election? So if it's going to be free and fair, is there, and also in my line of business, right? If the same political party clinch all the seats at the local government, it shows something is wrong somewhere.
Do you think that would be the way to be this time around, given the fact that just the primaries bringing birth or giving birth to this particular local government election that will be on Saturday? We saw a certain people or group still with the ruling APC party falling apart. Some persons even went as far as staging a protest, saying that they are not happy with the way things are being done and the handpicking of candidates for them to come up for the election. Do you think that will still be the same thing again here in Lagos State, with some persons being disgruntled, and we know other political parties actually are there also?
In politics, there have always been, people are always disgruntled. Look at what happened in Delta, right? Those people that move from, that cross-carpeted, right, from PDP to APC, the man that was in APC before, that was vying for governorship election, he wasn't happy because he was aiming that I'm going to win the ticket now. So automatically, the man that cross-carpeted to the new party will be given the ticket.
In other words, people will still be disgruntled.
Okay, take for instance, it's on record that Shetima will not be the next vice president for the coming election, right? So there's a lot of disgruntlement there.
Would that lead to party implosion?
Sorry?
Don't you think that will lead to the party imploding anytime?
Yeah, it's also relative. It's also relative, depending on who is handling what, right? You will think that Ganduje will be disgruntled. Now they've given him another big seat, right? Well, so you can see a lot of they have a way of, there's a thing in management, they talk about carrot and stick approach, right? And when you were growing up then, when you live in some certain house and when you sleep in the night and you see this small rat hitting your toes and they are blowing here to you and you are sleeping, it's when you wake up you discover that part of your foot is gone.
Well, let's still stay on the path of the security during the election. And I want to come to you, Mr. Mwizi. Okay. Interestingly, I've been able to cover some of these elections across Lagos, and particularly in my area of location. I stand to be corrected. The last two elections, general elections now, have always been marred with thugs coming to cut away ballot boxes. And of course, that's as a result of the fact that there is the conversation that the ruling party at the time is not leading on those polling units. Now, let's look on the part of security. The police has said, look, we're bringing out hundreds and thousands of our men in a city of over 20 million people, if I'm not wrong. Again, the question that I want to find out is, the police coming as security on this election, would that be enough to secure lives and, of course, ballot boxes when push comes to shove? Or is the police overwhelmed enough in the time of election?
Yeah, thank you. The police coming in and them giving us like 1,000 personnel or 2,000 personnel has never been the solution. Okay?
What do you think is the solution?
Now, they are dishing out policemen that are not well paid. Election day, these politicians fund them properly to be on their side. So what do you get? They don't.
But we understand that according to the rules,
yeah,
policemen, the security force, security agents are not supposed to accompany individuals to the units, to the PUs. So do you still expect to see them there and have them, perpetrate?
They don't do it on the scene.
High-handedness.
They don't do it on the scene. Okay. They do it behind the scene.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah. So that's what we've been experiencing so far.
You feel that's what it's going to be again this time around?
Sure. Nigeria.
You don't have any faith?
No,
that things will be different.
No, not at all.
All right, Dr. Ganiyu, let's talk about the constitutionality of the 37 LCDAs. We have the 20 local governments, officially recognized, and then 37 of them. And elections will be conducted, some have said this is not constitutionally right. Now, on the basis of that, can the legality of this local government election be challenged in court on the basis of the constitutionality of extra LCDAs that are not, embedded in our constitution?
Okay, that's a smart question. And when you look at it, and when you talk about constitutionalism, it depends on who is standing for the constitution, right? Right, on the part of where you are. I'm coming, right. So, we are talking about beavers. Beavers itself, it's a technology that is not recommended in INEC constitution, right? It's just a tool that was to be used. So when there was issue then, they were saying that it's our choice. Since there is no backing for us to use it, we can, when there is a glitch, we can decide to go manual to ensure that things go. Since there's nothing binding us, so we don't owe you the allegiance to stitch to it in as much that it's hindering our flow, right? And hindering flow also is also relative. If the flowing is not in my favor, I can switch things. And it's just like when you're talking to someone and you're no longer interested in communication, you just assume that there's a network. Oh, there's a network glitch. You say, hello, can I hear you? No. They just switch off the phone, right? So at that point in time, that is INEC. So when you talk about this, remember when the former Governor Bola Ahmed Tinubu, when he was in Lagos, he has an issue with the federal government, and then Obasanjo was in power, right? And Obasanjo said, I'm not interested in this local government. The governor says that Bola Ahmed Tinubu, then Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, when he was the governor, he said that this is what I want. These are Lagos. We will fund them. He said, okay, I will not give you your vote. Then he said, don't worry, we'll take care of it. And he took care of it. Remember. So he funded it. So in the long run, when there was a decision, they now said that no, you cannot, the federal government should not hold their fund. It should give it to them. Let them know how to share it. So we should have, let's say we should have XY, and we now decide to have XXY. Then we will share the fund among the XXY.
So basically, you don't think there'll be court cases later? Because according to Nigeria's constitution, we have 774 local government areas.
Yeah.
The LCDAs where elections will be conducted also do not seem to appear in the constitution. You don't think that would be a challenge? And also, I would like to add, the elections were moved forward. It was supposed to be held in September. They were moved forward to July. Will that pose a problem?
Okay. Let me also...
Two questions, if you can.
I would try to do justice to it. Like it's saying in my dialect, it said, it is when fight comes, that's when songs becomes a proverb. Right. So, when we talk, when I sing song before and you don't take it. So when you now discover there's a fight, then my song become a proverb that I'm trying to attack you. Look at what happened. Let me just digress again to what happened in Delta, right? The old people in the House of Assembly and the governor and his whole team, they cross-carpeted to the ruling party and nothing happened. Remember the same issue happened in Rivers State, right? When those guys, 27 members, they cross-carpeted, even they came to live TV, and because they were not they were not in line, there was no nexus between them and the governor said that your seat is declared vacant, right? And they lost their position for a while, and they came back and said that we did not actually cross-carpeted, we are just testing the water. Right, and they came back to that same political party. Remember in Delta, because the governor and the House of Representatives, they were in the same bucket together, and they all cross-carpeted, and nobody was challenging it. Remember what they did was against the law, against the rule of law that was decided by the Supreme Court between Abegude versus Labour Party in Ondo State then, saying that because you cross-carpeted, you automatically lose your seat, right? And so those people could not lose their seat because there is no war, there's no issue between them and the local government and the House of Rep. Now, coming back to Lagos, the Constitution might not recognize them, but because what is going on is in tandem, it's in line, and it actually suits the sitting governor, right? And the sitting governor also what he's doing suits the federal government. So in the long run, so there will not be anyone to challenge anything in court. So the misnomer will now become normal. It's just like when the NEPA takes light and they just bring light and say, oh, up NEPA. It's an abnormal thing to happen, but because abnormal has taken place for so long, it now normalized. I will not think it's a good thing. So that's why I do not think that anyone will challenge it in court. It will still go seamlessly as if nothing happened, and the local government people, chairman, will also be there to enjoy them.
You mentioned the abnormal becoming the normal in a time like this in our political landscape. I'm going to come to you, Mr. Nweze. Interestingly, as it stands, we spoke about the transmission of results from the beavers, and looking more like that, of course, is not enshrined in the constitution of INEC to deliver that part of the conversation to Nigerians. At this point that we are getting and gearing up into the general elections, is there the need, from your perspective, is there the need for a major constitutional reform plus an electoral reform when it comes to INEC that would change quite a lot that Nigerians have been clamoring for? One of which is the independent candidacy that is not, in the constitution. Do you think Nigeria would be able to achieve reforms, both from the electoral perspective and the constitutional perspective, going into 2027?
Yeah, thank you very much. If you look at the history of Nigerian elections, especially the idea of free and fair elections, you find out that we've had almost none. Okay? Yar'Adua was bold enough to tell Nigerians that I didn't come into power through free and fair means. And I'm very sure if Bola Ahmed Tinubu is to be honest, he will say the same thing. So the system is a system that has been mad over time. Reforming INEC now will not really give us that needed solution. Okay? It won't give us that needed solution.
What do you think will give us that needed solution?
What will give us the needed solution in this case is, the last time I said this, I talked about this revolution thing, okay. And a lot of people clamped down on it and was like, hey, what are you talking about? Are you about to turn Nigeria into Sahel? Hey, hell no. I looked at the situation properly. Look at the likes of Peter Obi and the ADC. Look at the members, his team around him. The likes of Dino Melaye, the likes of the guy from, what's his name again? From Rivers? Rotimi Amechi and El-Rufai. I asked myself, what kind of deal could Peter Obi be having with this man? Okay? What kind of deal could he be having with this man? So at the end of the day, what we are going to have at the end of the day, we'll have a good man in power with his hands tied back. That is if he will win. Okay. This is a man that gave everything in the last election. Everything.
But we are not speaking about general elections. We're talking about Lagos state elections.
Sure.
So let's keep it within the state now.
All right.
I would like to get just your opinion and also Dr. Gani's on. What's your take on the fact that any election we have in Nigeria, especially even local government now, we're going to have no movement, restriction of movements and all that, vehicular movement and every other thing. Some days, sometimes being declared public holiday. And, what's your take on that too? What do you think Nigeria is going to overgrown or outgrown such?
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. And it helps us manage the security issues. Okay? Not moving around helps us not... the issue of people cutting away with ballot boxes easily, it helps the security operative to move around and make sure that we're all well secured. Okay, so it's a good thing. And also moving away from it, it will take a form of technological advancement. We saw a case over in America where people can vote via email, where people can vote by anywhere they are. You know, until we get to that level, we still have to maintain this.
Do you share the same thought or the same line of view also?
Can you please retrace?
Okay, the thing is, when do you think Nigeria is going to move away from there's a stay at home, no vehicular movement, restriction of people who actually have the fundamental human right to go do their business and all that just because of election? When do you think we're going to, overgrown or outgrown this?
Yeah, number one, until we recognize and appreciate and value people, right? Until we value people and not treat people like animals. Number two, until we also use people as a deterrent. We know people behind the scene. You see, in the long run, when you arrest them, you later release them because it's on the authority of someone backing them up. So until we treat everybody as equality, that no one is above the law, at that point in time, we just said that this could happen without any, because do not also forget that the police are assigned to maintain law, peace, and order, right? So mostly also, even if there's no election, they should be there to ensure that people kill the way they should kill. There is a peace and order, not going there with weapon. But now when it's not come with weapon, it's assumed that there is a war, there's an issue, and the reason why they're also harming themselves, because some hoodlums might come to the scene and be able to perpetrate evil, and they must be able to have some authority with them to be able to stop them from perpetrating the evil.
All right, thank you so much for that submission. Because I wanted to ask, because in Senate clients, people will sit down in the comfort of their homes and do their election.
That is where system works.
Oh, okay.
That is where system works. So when we now talk about system working, we have the leaders that makes it to work. It happens in US, it happens in UK, it happens everywhere. But do our system, do we have enough system that could work, that are even the banking sector also, for you to do something? This BVAS is in line with the instrument they use. So we need to make the system work, and everything that we ought to put in place to ensure it works. That is what we should be thinking about.
All right, then now let's get into another conversation. Ganduje gets appointment as chairman, FAN board of directors. Let's talk about this one when we come back. Well, the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, has unveiled former national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje, as the chairman of the board of the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAN. The unveiling was confirmed in a video posted on X by the special advisor on digital media to the minister, Benga Saka, during the inauguration ceremony in Abuja yesterday. Now, this comes only a few days after Ganduje resigned as the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC. Well, Ganduje resigned from the ruling party's exalted position last week, citing urgent and personal matters, health matters actually. And he has since been replaced by Alibuka Dalori as the APC national chairman. Well, now, I spoke with someone this morning. Well, we do have with us in the studio to continue this conversation. We have Dr. Gani Oluwashola. We also have Mr. Ezike Weze Jesus. Am I correct? All right then. So we have these gentlemen with us, and we just might be going to Port Harcourt, where we have Dr. Emmanuel Irayanama, who will be joining the conversation in the course of time. You know, but doesn't it seem? Let me just. I had a conversation with someone this morning, and the person works with FAN, you know, and I was like, oh, can you imagine? You guys have a new chairman board. I mean, during the time of Minister Hadi Sirika, there was no board. You know, he was basically taking decisions, you know, unanimously. But now there is a board. I'm like, we heard about it a long time ago. I'm like, okay, before he resigned, he said yes, that there was information in-house that he was going to be the chairman, even before he resigned from being the APC national chairman. So I said something yesterday. I asked a question. It was more like a question. So let me ask you, Dr. Oluwashola. Is Nigeria on the menu? Does it seem like Nigeria is on the menu, where political office holders, you know, go from one money-making agency or position to another, and what is going on? What would you say? Is this some sort of compensation? How would you describe this? Remember, he resigned from his position as APC chairman. Some said it was politically driven, but his reasons were health, and barely 2 weeks after, he's being inaugurated as chairman, board of FAN.
Yeah, that's a good question. He resigned for health reasons.
Yeah,
right?
so he may have attended to his health.
His health, right. And this is the first time FAN will have a chairman as the board.
After a long while.
Right. They've not had any before. They've not had any board chairman before. You see, the seat was just created for him. And it will be good for you, what of not notes for you to know that he has been appointed since January 2025. Since January 2025, but just inaugurated on the 9th of July as the board chairman. It has been on the radar.
Okay.
It has been set.
So it's been in the offing since.
He has been, but he hasn't been inaugurated because the position, the office is not visible, right? The office is not there before. So perhaps it has been in the pipeline, right? And do not forget also we have it in news that the person that will be the vice president for the ruling party will be Kwakwanso, right? And do not forget that they are not in good time. So it might not go well with him. So they must actually let him go, but so that it will be a way to have a soft landing. Let us give you an office, right? And you know the current...
So Nigeria is on the menu.
The current... And you know that there's some positions that are based on appointment, right? There's some positions that are based on, like the FAN MD, Olubumi. It was based on political appointment. It's not that you grow in between, along the rank. Right. Even the chairman of Internal Revenue in Lagos is based on political appointment, right? So even the chairman of XYZ Custom and every other thing that is based on political appointment. It depends on who is on the line with the president, right? So it depends on who is there. It depends on who. So it's not now thinking about, are we putting the round peg in the round hole, right? Will the person have something to give differently? But when you now look at it, the seat of a chairman is just like aside from being a political appointment, it does not need technical know-how, because the person really running the show is the MD, who is the CEO. He is just the chairman of the board, who they report to in terms of the board. But everybody in FAN reports to the MD. So they might not even access him for help.
So you don't think that this particular appointment is going to distort that Decree 45 of 1979 that made FAN what FAN is today? You don't think it's going to distort anything?
You see, for it to distort, they will need to change it. You know, this is a decree that is ruling. And in line with it also, they will need to change. The essence of the board is to oversee and to curtail the excesses of the MD, right? To ensure that it's still working in line, it's still in alignment with the principle and ethics of the organization also, and to ensure that nothing goes wrong with that organization. And so if the board is bad and the MD is good, there's tendency for the organization to be good, right? And also the board also have the power to remove the MD once the MD has done something wrong. So, and one person does not constitute the board. We have a lot of people in the board. The chairman is just there to make the final decision. So if those people in the board, they are not also in alignment with the decision of the chairman, so they also need to get the higher authority. So at this point in time, there's nothing shaky, but it just needs a portfolio to have a soft landing, because also there's a need for the vote of the North. And everyone has his own area of strength, so that they don't throw away all the votes.
Talking about, I'll also get your opinion on this, but let me get yours first, Dr. Gani. Talking about the vote of the North, do you think, you know, it should have made any difference for the national chairman of the party to still be Ganduje, even when he is going to be the chairman of the FAN board at this point in time? You know, are we going to see any contradiction or anything?
Yes, because you can't hold two offices.
Is it constitutionally written in
you are
Nigeria?
the chairman of the political party, then becoming the chairman of the... So, you know, the chairman of a political party, you have a whole lot of things in your hand, right? So you cannot delve into another public office. This is a public office. You cannot wear two caps as a public servant. Just talking about somebody become the ruling party, you are the chairman. The only person that wears two caps in it is the president, will become the leader of the political party and the president of the country. Every other person, they wear just one cap, because there are a lot of people on the queue. So there are a lot of people on the queue to be able to have one political seat or the other. So you can't wear two caps, because it will be against the rule of thumb.
Let me get your own opinion on that too, as you also react to the fact that this particular appointment was made since 18th of February. And it was just last week that Ganduje said he's resigning his position because he cited health and personal issues to be the reason. Why is it that you know, the political elites we have in Nigeria still not really coming out so open, or will I say moving in a linear motion or in a linear way, whereby they will lay everything bare? Why are they putting their movements, you know, shredded in secrecy and all that?
Okay, thank you. You know, there's something we need to understand here. There's politics and there's business of politics. Okay? The Tinubu understands the business of politics. That is why he's having his way. Okay? Now we have this ADC coming on board. We have them forming a team of rejectees. Okay? Now, Ganduje, as we know, is a very important member of Tinubu's team. So he's not somebody that you can just cut away. Cut him away, where will you have him? Back to the ADC, that would be a plus, because that is what we have on board currently. So it's good for the party that they retain him by giving him one position. It could have been any other, aside FAN, it could have been any other position. But then that is the business of politics.
All right, let's talk about public confidence in the aviation sector. Looking at the fact that all of these conversations about the former APC chairman coming to become the head of the board of FAN, how can public confidence be restored? Owing to the fact that before now, there's been an alleged corrupt, crime on the man, allegedly. How can the government restore public confidence, particularly on FAN?
Brother, the government have never needed public confidence in terms of election that much, especially not APC. Okay? So it has been a situation where whether or not we want it, they get their way. So they don't need to do anything much to gain public confidence. They actually don't need it. the people that are trying, that actually need this, is the opposition parties to get this public confidence going, and then achieve one or two. But not this present government. They don't need it.
All right, let me come to you, Doctor. Interesting.
All right, before we do that, let's take a quick break. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being of an individual. It's the fundamental right of everyone to enjoy the highest attainable standard of health, without distinction of race, religion, or political belief. On VOP TV, we bring you Health Check, a show that x-rays different health issues and provides solutions with the help of experts in the medical field. Join us every Saturday, 2 p.m. on Health Check. Health Check on VOP TV. Your health, our priority. Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Well, start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered.
VOP This Morning, 8 a.m., Monday through Friday.
We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOP TV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television.
Voice of the People Television awuchiela onye nụ ya ka ọrụ ibe ya. Ị chọrọ ịmata akụkọ ndị gbara n'akwụkwọ akụkọ dị iche iche n'ala anyị kwa ụbọchị. Ị chọrọ ịmata ka o si afịatụ na ndọrọndọrọ ọchịchị, agụmakwụkwọ, azụmahịa, ime njem, ọbụla dị egwuregwu. Ngwa sonyere anyị n'oge ndị Igbo na Voice of the People Television. Anyị nwere ndị ọbịa bụ ọkachamara, bụkwa ndị ga-enye aka tapịa isiokwu ndị anyị jiri bịa kwa ụbọchị. Anyị ga-eji ka o siri gbaa n'akwụkwọ akụkọ dị iche iche wee malite tupu anyị akọzie n'uju n'ubi onye anyị bịara na nke ya. Ịgbamụrụ nzem ọzọ kerikosi aga ya gaziere onye ukwu ma gaziere onye nta. Mkparịta ụka tọrọ atọ ka anyị ga-ewetara gị bụkwa nke ga-eme ka ịmata ka ihe si aga n'ala anyị bụ Naịjirịa, ọbụla dị na mba ofesi. Oge ndị Igbo na Voice of the People Television ga na-abịara gị site n'ụbọchị Mọnde ruo Fraịde na SLTV Channel 264. Ekwekwala ka akọrọ gị ya akọrọ. Chetakwa na ọ bụ na SLTV Channel 264 ka ị ga-ekiri Voice of the People Television. Voice of the People Television. Ugbu a ị nwere karịa olu.
Are you ready for the extraordinary? Something big is happening on your screen. Introducing VOP TV. Now streaming on SLTV Channel 264. From breaking news to captivating conversations, news analysis, giving you all sides to the story.
All right, glad to have you back. Let's just continue with the conversation from where we stopped. Well, we understand right now that we're being joined virtually, and of course, from our Pataka studio, Chief Dr. Emmanuel Rayamena, and of course, all the way from Abuja as well, from our Abuja studio, Ibrahim Madibo, Vice Presidential Candidate of the Grassroots Development Party of Nigeria, GDPN, in the 2019 election. He's, of course, joining us from our Abuja studios. Gentlemen, a very, very good morning to you. Let's start off from the, yes, Chief Dr. Emmanuel, I'm starting from you right now. What's your general overview about this story that emanated yesterday, particularly the story of the former APC chairman becoming the chairman board of directors of FAN?
politics has been reduced to patronage. So I'm not surprised, particularly given the antecedents of this government. It's been a government of sharing national wealth among cronies. So I'm not surprised. It's a normal thing. In a same climb, with the baggages the former EFCC chairman is said to carry, a reasonable government was supposed to be very far away from him, particularly a government that claims to fighting the same baggages that the former EFCC chairman is carrying. But of course, they cannot. If you also do look at the circumstance that led to his leaving office, it's a bargain team. So they are doing an appeasement to some extent to understand what is going on. That's the government we have as a country for now.
All right. Well, again, I'm still going to stay with you, Chief Dr. Emmanuel. Do you think at this point, public perception about these kind of appointments, it's really going to do better with this present administration? Because some quarters have said that this, like you even said, politics, it's about interest. This is about trying to shield and cover up the interest of the former chairman of the APC. How can public perception be restored and then confidence of the public with this present administration and the appointments as it stands with this particular one?
The first question we need to answer is whether or not this government cares about your perception about them. A clean look at everything tells you one simple thing: you can go to hell, Nigerians. Because in this government, the phraseology "go to court" became very open. So they really don't care. So otherwise, one will think that to get public confidence, you begin to listen and do things differently. But this government is not going to do anything different. They don't really care. It is an Abelakun, it is their turn. So they got Nigeria.
When you say they don't really care, Chief Dr. Emmanuel Ryan, we have there's this report that made it to the social media earlier this week, talking about how many persons are disappointed in the present administration and how many persons are not proud again of becoming Nigeria, looking at the percentage and all that. Now, if you say they don't care, when we're having a trust deficit every time in Nigeria, where then does that leave the relationship between Nigeria as a nation, the government, and the people that are being governed, also even within the international space?
First, it is a pity. I'm a Nigerian, a proud Nigerian at that. It's a pity that that's what we have today. It is a pity that we've given ourselves, as it were, to persons who do not really care. We are a laughing stock outside this country, as long as governance is concerned. We're a typical laughing stock. First was an issue of big baggage carried by the man who became our president. Around him are further baggages right, left, and center. So out there, if we want to look at the international space, we're a laughing stock. If you go out, the things our friends out ask us are, is that the best your country can offer? Is that the best your country have? It is a very simple thing. But unfortunately, we seem helpless too. We seem not to be prepared to do anything serious. And as long as they keep having their way, you can go to hell. And that's the simple truth.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Emmanuel, for your submission. Let's get over to Dr. Ibrahim Medebo. Doctor, let's get your opinion on this particular appointment. First, actually, he, according to what we got from Fan Board, he was already made the chairman of the Fan Board since 18th of February 2025. And why is it then that it took him so long till last week or 2 weeks for him to come up to say he's resigning as the national chairman of APC and is citing health issue and personal reasons? Help us actually walk around this particular one. The reason behind the secrecy, or rather the fact that we're not getting clear information from the political elite at this point in time.
Well, thank you, my professional colleagues. I'm a journalist by training. My PhD is in development communication. And by virtue of my professional calling, I've been taught by the fundamentals of social responsibility theory to be fair, just, credible, and also to observe things based on fairness and display of professional ethics and etiquette. Therefore, to me, Nigeria is a country that seems to reward fellow and also guides integrity and success to a very large extent. To me, it's a reward for fellow. We know that the former national chairman of the APC has been a colossal fellow to this government and also to Nigerians, bearing in mind that he had a history. This history is a history that is full of baggages. And right from day one, the issue of even bringing him on board has, to a large extent, has been able to play down the integrity and profile of the present administration. If you look at the governance as it is today, you'll agree with me that I don't know whether what Adam Oshumole was quoted as saying, allegedly, that if you loot, or wherever you go and steal, if you come to APC, your sins will be forgiven. I hope we are not creating a party of looters. Therefore, with the baggage of the former chairman, I do not see the wisdom and the foresight of this government in trying to give him such a sensitive appointment, because funds will be there. And once there is this thing of funds attached to such a fundamental area, to me, it is going to be a serious problem. That
all right,
anathema.
All right, Doctor, permit me to butt in at this point. Still talking about perception, the world perception. Right now, Nigeria has a few issues from international community. The United Arab Emirates just imposed some very strict restriction to Nigerians who intend to travel to the UAE for tourism, because now they say if you're within the age bracket of 18 and 45 and you're traveling alone, unaccompanied, you will not be given tourist visa. We also have other stringent policies. Now, it doesn't seem, and this is just coming after after Nigeria had a fallout with the UAE, and we felt, okay, all of that has been sorted. Now, that's on one side. Also, we know that the administration of Hadi Sirika as minister has not been questioned on the usage of funds for the establishment, for the floating of Nigeria Air that we never saw after May 20, I think that was May 28th, the day before the handover. No questioning has been done. Some runway lights were bought and were said not to have been working after a while, but there's been no questioning. What perception will all of this, the fact that people who may have allegedly taken public funds are not being brought to book, and those with questionable character are still made to head such agencies, what perception are we going to get from the world, and how will this affect Nigeria, the aerospace or aerodrome, the aviation sector as a whole, and also Nigerians that intend to do business abroad? Take us through, all of this, what we stand to observe in the recent times, in the coming days.
You see, if you look at the question is well loaded. You've just loaded the question so much that you've not been able to allow me, proper articulation of my thoughts. However, let me start from this thing. You see, the issue of this, let me start from Hadi Sirika. You see, to me, lack of checks is something that has been associated with arbitrariness and also the allowance of impunity, or we enable impunity by way of arbitrariness when it comes to us as a government not checking issue of corruption. To me, today, if I were to be given the latitude, let me tell you, most of these corrupt people they should have gone to jail. They would have gone to jail. Because if you look at China, why is China today a country of success? It's a country of success because it abhors corruption and corruptive tendencies. And also it's one country that believes in productivity. But here we believe in chopping rather than productivity. Therefore, it seems as if, despite the fact that President Buhari came in with the mantra of fighting corruption and what have you, it was a merry-go-round issue. There was nothing that the government has been able to do to confront corruption head-on. That was why Hadi Sirika had the leverage, allegedly, of spending such a huge or humongous amount of money without accountability. And this government that is coming in today, it's a sad commentary in the life history of this country that we have a government that does not even have fighting corruption as one of its cardinal principles. Look at all the organogram, or better still, the posturing or the plans, the program of action of the Tinubu administration. I've not seen anywhere that he says it will fight corruption. But agreed, EFCC is there. It has been trying to do its best, but how best is the best for EFCC? Because to me, it is pandering to the whims and caprices of those in government, and also trying to catch all these small boys, the Yahoo and all this, leaving the major substance, if not somebody like Abokar, the former governor of Kogi. For God's sake, will he be going around,
all right, as we...
Welcome now.
All right, sorry, Doctor, as we make to wrap up this conversation, unfortunately, we have a limited time for this conversation, so we can get into the next one. But as we make to wrap up, I asked a question at the beginning. Can we all agree now that as far as politicians are concerned, as far as the politicians in Nigeria are concerned, Nigeria is the menu, and they do with it as they please. Can we all agree? Can we all agree on that? I'm asking you now.
Yeah, you see, the triggers to most of these issues that had to do with all this aviation, something and what have you, as a country, there is need for us to be very serious. As a nation, we're under a very big conundrum that has to do with lack of foresight and lack of punitive action towards some of these pitfalls. There's a need for us as a country to be set, to have a government that is very sensitive, to have a government that feels the yearning aspiration of Nigerians, and also to have a government that is focused, that will be able to put food in the mouth of Nigerians, to look at the security issues, to look at the economy, because as I've stated, let me reiterate for the nth time, we have Lagos boys that are just newspaper tigers on the economy without necessarily finding the rhythm or the practical solution to the problems confronting economy. I must commend the Central Bank Governor, Cardoso. To be candid, I've never met him, I don't know him, but I think he's been doing well. Apart from him, all the ministers and other people in charge of the economy, who are all Lagos boys, I do not think they have the wherewithal to be able to bring out Nigeria from the current predicament economically. And therefore, we should also be dispassionate, look at the issue of politics, because as it is today, Nigeria is in dire strait. There is a need for us to fix this country. We need, the young are restless, the old are weary, and the political class seems to be in a kind of despair and despondency. So from where do we go? Where are we going from here?
Where do we go from here? Sounds like a song. Where do we go from here? The young are restless, the elderly are weary. Where do we go from here? Dr. Emmanuel Irayanama. Now, how restless have we been, seeing that the activities of former Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, wasn't questioned, and Nigerians haven't put pressure on government to ensure that that industry is looked at. How restless have we been, or have we just accepted our fate? What is the way forward? Your conclusion. Basically,
we are dozily restless, perhaps. We are not restless. We are a community of people who actually do not care. Everything goes in Nigeria. And that's why this set of leaders can afford to. You're talking about Sirika's issue.
Oh, I guess we're having a technical glitch there. We'll get back to you. I think, yes. Let's get a concluding thought, Dr. Oluwasegun, regarding this topic, the second topic.
Yeah. Let's be hopeful that it brings new thing on the table, because the essence of you appointed as a board of director is for you to change the status quo and make things better, improve on the way. Maybe with him being on board now, there will not be delay in our flight. There will not be any issue. Maybe our flight will be smoothless. And when there are sanctions, rather for what Adam Oshemole did there, that there will be a proper way to channel people's grievances to, and people will get value for their money in that space now.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All
for
right.
that.
Well, interestingly, one question that comes to mind while we wrap up is the fact that the former chairman of the party would be under the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace. I'm talking about Festus Keyamo. Would power tussle not... anyways, let's not go there. Let's get to the last conversation. ADC accuses Bola Tinubu's government of plotting crackdown on opposition. This would be our final conversation when we return after this quick break. Do best stay with us.
Thank you so much for staying with us. It's still VOP this morning. The African Democratic Congress, ADC, has accused President Bola Tinubu's administration of laying the groundwork for a systemic clampdown on opposition leaders under the guise of national security. This comes after a tweet by Bayo Ononuga, Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, in which he alleged that the opposition was planning to overthrow the government before the 2027 general election. In a statement issued on Wednesday and signed by Bolaji Abdullahi, Interim National Publicity Secretary of the ADC and spokesperson for the opposition coalition, the party describes Ononuga's comment as reckless, malicious, and dangerous, warning that it could signal a broader campaign of intimidation against the 17 voices. We still have with us in the studio Dr. Gani Oluwashola, who is a managing partner, KJB professional. And then also we have from our Port Harcourt studio, have Chief Dr. Emmanuel Oreyanama. And from Abuja, we're joined by Dr. Madibo. Yes, Dr. Madibo also. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being part of this today's show. Now, let me start off with you, Dr. Oluwasegun Ganiyu. This ADC, we've been talking about this coalition for some time now, and then we also were learned that the opposition are infiltrating the ADC to destabilize it. But today, from what their interim spokesperson is talking about, that there's a plot by the APC to arrest or to go over picking the leaders of the party, because according to what they said and according to the tweet made by Bayo Ononuga, that he had planning to overthrow the government before the 2027 general election. Now, recall also that some time ago in Nigeria, a particular man, Path Utom, came up with a plot saying that he wants to form a government, which the DSS actually had to go after him to say, you don't do that, it is not constitutional. At this point in time, is forming coalition and talking about the next election democratic? Is it against the constitution of Nigeria at this point in time, to the point that permutations are going on for the arrest to cramp down on those people who are plotting this coalition?
You have a good question, but the question is that, for you to make an allegation, there must be evidences, right? So for you to allege that when you use the word clamp down, you are talking about suppressing, you are talking about trying to silence you, right? So but when you say when we look at the sitting government, right, the ruling party, they are also a beneficiary of coalition, right? In 2013, they also come together. We see ACN, CPC, AFGA, right, and ANPP. They came together, part of ANPP and part of AFGA, to form it in 2013, right? And also they used it as a platform to upturn to take PDP out of power, right? And these people are also coming to form. I think what they should go is to look in-house and see if there are gaps within them or people that are still loyal to the current political party. And I think the president came up and says that it will not work against the coalition, right? And Nigeria is not the first time things like this is happening. Look at what is happening in the United States of America. When Elon Musk is not working in line again with Donald Trump, he's forming his own political party. And the guy just laughed at him that you are just playing, you are just taking a frolic. So I think the most important thing is that they should check in-house and see how they go, because ADC is not a yesterday party. You will agree with me, ADC has been around since 2005. Then it was Alliance for Democratic Change, right? And in 2018, Obasanjo Coalition for Movement aligned with them because they want to use it to upturn the work against Muhammadu Buhari when he was dead. So now they changed the party to African Democratic Congress, right? So they should be able to let them see, and if they have evidence, they should show it, right? And it will also be an anathema and against the rule of law or the rule of thumb in politics for the sitting or the ruling political party to clamp down on because one of the things that pulled down PDP was then that most of them are cross-carpeting to APC because they were getting appointment, they were getting juicy position, and politics is not now about citizen, it's about self-interest. Right. So now when the ruling the ADC is coming, you see a lot of people moving to the party. Those people that have that are not intended to the current ruling party, they're moving there. So let's see how it unfolds over time.
Now, I'm still going to stay with you from your last sentence. The people cross-carpeting to another party. There's a conversation around PDP aggrieved members who are also part of this ADC. Do you think their ideology would have anything, basically, to hold on these ADC to having to be a very strong opposition as against what we have in the PDP? Ideologies of person, that's what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah, it depends. When we talk about this ideology, it's also relative to people if they share the same ideology. Take for instance now, with this new ADC, we have 3 people vying for the same seat. We have Amechi, we have Peter Obi, and we have Atiku, right? And there's tendency for, if I can tell you for free, if they did not give it to Peter Obi might likely go back to the obedient movement, right? And because what they are, obedient movement are saying that we want you or nobody. And so if they cannot put their house together, the tendency for them to also be able to clinch the seat in 2027 is slim, right? Because when you remember that what happened during Tinubu also, he wanted to become the vice president, right? But they say, wait, because Muslim ticket will not go. So he stepped down. So if these parties are coming together, their ideology must be the same, right? They must have the same focus, and they must go Congress to ensure that they have the same objective to get the seat in 2027.
Okay, let's go straight to our Port Harcourt studios. And Dr. Emmanuel, I believe you're here. Let's have your general overview of this conversation, plus your concluding thoughts because of our time, quickly.
If you can hear us, we'd like you to unmute your device, Dr. Iroyanama.
Like you said, like my colleague there said, it's a very clear thing. When we talk about the ideology, we make the mistake of usually saying there are no ideologies. There are ideologies. Perhaps what we don't have is that we don't have people ideologies. What we have on ground is personal pocket ideologies. On that basis, I can tell you the parties, both the oppositions as they are, all have ideology. As of today, our biggest threat as a people is not what the coalition, that there is a coalition. Our biggest problem will be what people's agenda is around the coalition. We had a coalition in 2023 that brought in, that brought in the APC. That ideology in 2013, rather, that brought in APC. They came with this change mantra. What did they change? Did they merely change Jonathan? As of today, we have a problem. And the problem is that Tinubu is not taking us anywhere. Yes, I agree. If the coalition is just to change Tinubu and give us the same Tinubu in another form, then the coalition is a waste. So what Nigerians should begin to question is what people's agenda is in the coalition. We must ask that question and get answers for it.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Irainama, for your thought. Let's get Dr. Ibrahim Medibo's thought also. You know, what do you make of this particular statement from the ADC that there are plots or plans for them to be cramped down because they're perceived to be party or people who are trying or planning to overturn the government? We also want you to marry that to the concluding thoughts, please. If you can hear me, Dr. Ibrahim, okay, right, go ahead.
Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I can hear you, go ahead.
I think there's a kind of desperation and a kind of political posturing that looks like the theory of the absurd and also the comical nature of Nigerian politics. To me, the propaganda machine of the present administration is based on a kind of a spin, trying to sell a dummy, you know, with a view to attracting or trying to gag the opposition. ADC is a hurricane. I think it's both Hurricane Katrina and Hurricane anything that you can think of put together. Under the present perspective, I can tell you, Nigerians are tired. Nigerians are in a state of despair and despondency. Therefore, in what I see as a lavish display of political rascality, I see a situation where the spin doctors of the present administration are coming up with these faceless or inconsequential allegations that some people want to torpedo the government or want to topple the government. The essence of forming an opposition is to sell your manifesto, sell what you have to the people with a view to changing the government. So what is wrong if they're going to do it democratically? But under the present system, for you to cry wolf where there is none, I think it's a state of desperation. And I think if you look at from the perspective of scholarship and learning, in any democratic setup, there must be an opposition. No democracy survives without an opposition. And therefore, the beauty of this ADC coming on board is a welcome development. And I think it is also a pointer to APC that it should sit up. President Tinubu has 2 years behind him or by his side. It's either he tightens his belt and perform or he finds his way out. And this ADC is going to give us a serious opposition. And I just hope and pray that the people involved will be able to sit down in the interest of Nigeria.
All right, thank you. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Dr. Ibrahim Medibo. Because of our time, this is where we have to draw anchor on the conversation this beautiful morning. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who made this possible, all of our guests from the Port Harcourt studio, and of course to our Abuja studios. And I'm talking about Dr. Emmanuel Remilam, and of course Dr. Ibrahim Medibo, and our studio guest, Dr. Ganiu Oluwasola, for being here, and of course Unweze Jesus O. We urge you to stay with us, of course, where we get into the newspaper review in a couple of minutes from now. On behalf of myself and the entire backroom staff, of course, and of course my colleagues, Moses Humphrey and Fina Okechukwu, I am David Edwin, and I'm saying do have a beautiful morning ahead. God bless Nigeria.